Most golfers struggle with consistency. In this video, I'm going to break down the specific formula that pro golfers use that help them day in and day out show that consistency. You may be hitting balls on the range, watching even videos like this, but when you get out to the golf course, it feels like a totally different sport. So let's get right into it and break down those three fundamental keys that are going to help you enjoy the game even more and play way more consistent out there. Let's get to it.
So the first thing that we're going to go over is set a mental framework of what consistency really is. So what comes to mind for you when we say consistency? Is it hitting every shot the same? Is it being perfect about every shot? For most golfers, I find that not to be the case, but I would say that our idea of consistency is that we're going to hit every shot the exact same way. And I think that's just an unrealistic, unachievable goal that sets us up for failure out there, because it's not something that any of your pro golfers are doing as well. So let's go into what consistency really is. Consistency isn't hitting that same shot over and over and over. It's having a predictable pattern with each club. Let's say you're going with your sand wedge, your 8-iron, your driver. If you were to sit there on the range and hit 10 to 15 shots without thinking about it, where do those 15 shots go? Does your shot tend to curve right? Does it tend to go long and short? You might have a directional bias and a distance bias as well. When we're thinking about consistency on the golf course, most golfers are out there changing things, so it's improbable that you're going to find a consistent output if you're not giving a consistent input. And when I go and talk to my students, one of the things I start our lessons with is consistency isn't a result, it's a process. If you look at a professional golfer and see, who do you find to be consistent? Is it Rory McIlroy? Recently speaking, is it Tommy Fleetwood? Would you look at a Justin Rose over the last couple decades? Do you look at a Tiger Woods, how he dominated? You're gonna have a mental framework for what consistency is before you even start. And then what I'd like to say from there is we have to come up with a formula so that we can pour into this consistency and find our version of it. There are many hidden costs of unrealistic expectations that end up getting in the way of your performance out there. You might see a professional golfer not get it up and down out of the bunker. You might see them make bogey from hitting a wedge from the fairway, but those golfers tend to get it all out in the moment and then be present for the very next shot. That process in and of itself is what consistency looks like at the very top level. So how does that look for us, right? They're hitting golf balls 6-7 days a week. They have people to help them with every aspect of their game. So what do you and I do out there? Well, we have to come up with a blueprint that we can commit to as a process. And there might be elements of it that we need to change and tweak over time, but when we're going out to play golf, I want to operate with the swing that I have for that day. That's if my priority is score. Now, you might be out on the golf course and upset with the quality of your drive or upset with the quality of your ball striking, and that is something that you can definitely look at with technical practice. But when we're going out to play golf, it is not the time to be tinkering with your swing and to be changing things out there. So we have to be realistic about what it is that we're pursuing and what it is that we really want at the end of the day, and truthfully what we're willing to give up for it. I think one of the most fun things that we can do as golfers is come up with some compelling goals and find something that's worth our time out there. When you really find what drives you and what you're willing to be consistent about, that's where the real magic happens. And I think if everybody had an opportunity to discover that in their game, there's going to be some magic that happens out there on the golf course. If we get trying to fit somebody else's mold or swing like somebody else with a different level of input there, you're not going to get the same result, and it causes frustration, which is going to blow up your score. It's going to cause you to not enjoy it, and that's where all the inconsistency comes from, because I don't want to continue to practice if I'm not getting any good results out there. So it's a process that keeps feeding itself. If we can find what really drives us out there and you actually look forward to putting in some of the work, I think that for me is something that has continued to give me good results over time. Even though I'm not doing it the way that other people are doing it, I've just been doing it my way consistently for a long time. Now, that's not to say that I don't need a coach and I don't have things that I need to work on. I'm gonna get into that in part 2 coming up now. So the second piece is skill work. There are some games that we play that will allow us to develop a more functional golf swing. You may have heard of Tiger Woods' 9-shot window drill, where you hit the high window, mid window, and low window, and then you have balls that curve right to left to right, and straight, which equate to 9 shots. If you look at the ball flight laws, there are really only those 9 shots in golf. And when you can understand what the laws of physics require for you to do that, you can go to a launch monitor and start understanding your tendencies. That's what a TrackMan does. That's what any of these launch monitors do. And when you can start seeing the facts, you can really understand why certain things are happening and what to do about it. There are certain laws that have to happen regardless of what your swing aesthetically looks and feels like. So when you're on the range, you can be using the swing that you have to accomplish these tasks. Now you're gonna find that there's certain ones that you're better at and maybe certain ones that you can improve at. But it's good to identify your strengths so that you can use that on the golf course. That is how you start aiming to the target. Let's say my ball tends to go right to left. I wanna understand where I usually start that ball, and if I'm curving it right to left, I shouldn't be aimed at the flagstick. I should probably be aimed right of it, depending on where all the trouble is out there. Introducing this idea of skill work out there moves us towards a functional golf swing, not necessarily the prettiest golf swing, but that's not what the ball cares about. It cares about functionality, and I think it's a key to keep us away from perfecting a swing that isn't producing the right results. And the last bit that I want to go over is really the performance work. So before I go out to play golf, one of the things that really helped my putting game was playing 18 holes before I go play. There's an app that I use called Decade. Shout out to Scott Fawcett. On the app, there is a randomizer of 18 holes, and then I go and play those 18 holes and see what my score is. I don't care what my swing looked like. I don't care what it is that I was trying to do. What was my score? And then I can start to see patterns of, did you leave it short? Did you leave it long? Did you miss it right? Did you miss it left? And I can start to address those things and try and get the best score that I can possibly get. When you are playing these games, if you look at professionals and how they practice out there, there are at some points of their practice that they are trying to score the ball. They're trying to get up and down. They're trying to increase their up and down percentage from, let's say, 20 yards, 25 yards, 30 yards. That could be 3 sets of 10 holes, and they're gonna have a percentage out of all of those. There are so many games that you can play to see how your performance goes. You can pick a target out on the range, and then try and hit to the right of the target, to the left of the target, and see how many times that you can actually get that right. Because you won't be so surprised out on the golf course when you start missing the direction you anticipated, because that's what golf is. Golf is not on the range hitting ball after ball after ball. You got 3 to 5 minutes before each and every shot with an opportunity to think about things and also go into it with a different approach each time. So if you start playing these performance games, it's such a low-hanging fruit for most amateurs to start to understand how to score the ball and really get the ball to do what it is that you want to do, as well as discover your tendencies out there. So these performance games are huge in understanding that scoring aspect of the game. Without this structure, we all revert to mindlessly beating balls and chasing the next itch that we have. Whether it's our driver, whether it's our 4-iron, wedges, we'll all go towards where our brain is pushing us towards, which is usually our last bad shot there. Which leads me into this last part, which is developing that overall consistency, how to calibrate and improve upon your process there. So, like I said before, what I end up doing is I'll look at my last round of golf, and a lot of that drives what it is that I practice over my next coming weeks. There are certain rounds that I'm looking forward to and want to perform better in, and certain gaps that I want to fill, so I make sure to touch those each week. And I don't have to have a perfect process where I dedicate an hour each time. if you can dedicate a sincere 8 to 12 minutes to short game or putting or hitting some balls, that work is what consistency is all about. It's about showing up every day, even though it's not something you want to, it's not something that's easy. That consistency is what's gonna help you push through on the golf course out there. There's so many parts of my game that I would love to continue to improve at, and I know a lot of those things will get better over time. I tend to, for myself, set some larger goals, some long-term goals, so that I inevitably work towards that. And I'm always calibrating to understand, am I getting the results that I want? Am I working towards something that's meaningful for myself? And truthfully, your goals will change over time. I know I'm not chasing the same things that I was 10 years ago, and there's so much meaning that can come out of golf, and I want to encourage you to take a look at what drives you and what can really light that fire out there. Golf is a game that's meant to be played, and it's meant to be shared with others, right? That's a lot of why we create these videos and we create the school that we have. And I want to take a second to invite all of you guys and invite you into that community where you can create all of that for yourself, right? We're creating a community of golfers that want to make golf a lifelong sport and find the tools that allow us to continue to make progress, continue to grow, and connect with like-minded individuals. And I don't know that I can come up with a more meaningful goal for myself. Now, that's only for myself, right? I want to create that space for you so that you can decide for yourself what it is that you want to work towards. So I'd appreciate if you had any questions. I'd be more than happy to answer those, give you guys a little bit of clarity on what will help you yourselves. Come join our school community. There is a link in the bio down below. And I really appreciate you guys for being here. Happy hunting out there, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.